At 6:30 a.m., a man lay perfectly still on Somerton Beach. No wallet, no name. A scrap of paper reading, Tamam Shud. He was impeccably dressed, his shoes polished, tie knotted with precision. Whoever he was, he left a life behind. His face was calm, as if someone had finally allowed him to stop pretending. A quiet summer morning. Fishermen passing, seagulls circling. The tide kissed the sand where his hand rested. Nearby, a tram rattled into the city. An ordinary day that would become a riddle for generations. Witnesses describe a stranger, alone, leaning against the seawall, carrying nothing. He watched the horizon, like someone waiting for something that never came. No one saw him meet anyone. No one claimed to know him. Forensic notes. No ID. Cards removed from clothing. Labels torn. A hidden pad of paper with a phone number rubbed out. Doctors found no obvious external injury. Toxicology hinted at an unknown substance, but tests were limited then. When coroners opened his jacket, they found a neatly folded scrap. The last words of a Persian poem, Tamam Shud. Finished. That scrap began a hunt that would twist between code, romance, and geopolitical speculation. In his fob watch, a local serial number traced to a factory. Clothing bore labels removed with care. Inside a cigarette pack, a tiny folded note had a sequence of letters no one could decode. A cipher that would haunt cryptographers. The autopsy room smelled of disinfectant and formalin. Instrument trays clicked. Pathologists argued about time of death, night or early dawn, and whether this man swallowed poison or was silenced by something subtler. Imagine a life anonymous to friends and family. No calls, no visits. People began to picture his last night. A lone diner, a tram ride, a bench under sodium lamps. Each image a small stab of sorrow for a person reduced to questions. A nurse's name surfaced. She lived in the same district and had once been linked by a scrap of paper in her possession that matched the missing book passage. She denied knowledge, but the proximity electrified rumors. Police traced the phone number scribbled in the hidden pad to a local car registry. Interviews spiraled into contradictions. Witness recollections of the man's clothes and posture conflicted, offering more fog than clarity. Every lead forked into doubt. Volunteers combed beaches and alleys, hoping to find relatives. Posters with "Who is he?" fluttered on telephone poles. Neighbors peeked from curtains, imagining their own missing husband or brother, and feared the nameless man was one of them. The mysterious code. 5 groups of odd letters found in a hidden book seam. Cryptographers attempted substitution and frequency analysis. Nothing fit. The code resisted every method. It felt personal, not bureaucratic. A private shorthand, rather than national cipher. Detectives revisited hotels where he might have stayed. They walked through narrow corridors, smelling of tobacco and old soap. Porters recalled an unknown guest asking for a late checkout. No one remembered his face clearly enough to help. A man claimed to have seen someone place something in the dead man's pocket the night before. An allegation later recanted. The retraction only deepened suspicion. Was someone cleaning up after a crime? Or were witnesses reshaping memory under pressure? Investigators pieced together travel possibilities, possible train timetables, a last meal estimated by stomach contents, and shoe tread patterns matched to an uncommon brand. Each technical detail raised hopes, then collapsed under conflicting testimony. The city's papers printed his photograph with no name. Letters to the editor began arriving, some pleading, some cruel. A widow wrote that she had looked at the face and felt a strange tenderness for a stranger, who might represent a husband's unspoken secrets. Years later, someone claimed a man had visited a nurse fitting the description for a wounded lover. That story split investigators. Was this a romance gone wrong, or a cover for something darker? The story refused to align with evidence. Archivists opened old trunks and police logs. Yellowed files crinkled under lamplight. Names that once mattered faded into typed ink. Each paper was a breadcrumb. Collected together, they hinted at networks of secrecy crossing quiet suburban streets and portside docks. Modern re-examinations found traces of substances on his clothing inconsistent with routine contamination. Decades later, DNA techniques couldn't match living databases. The man's biology remained an island, a body whose past was sealed. Families of the missing reached out to coroners, clinging to hope he might be a runaway brother or a long-lost son. Each potential match was another person's grief deferred when the features failed to align and the hope dissolved. A faded photograph surfaced, showing a man resembling the Somerton Man with a group on a ship deck. If true, it connected him to voyages in foreign ports, but provenance was shaky. Authenticity remained disputed. Handwriting analysis compared the book scrap to penmanship samples. Some experts saw similarities with a nurse's script. Others warned of confirmation bias. Humans are wired to see patterns, even where none exist. Somerton Beach itself became part of the evidence. Wind patterns, sand deposition, and tide logs helped narrow time of death windows. The coastline recorded motion like a slow and different clock. Every winter anniversary, anonymous flowers appeared on the seawall. A local teacher who never met him left a single daisy and a note. "You are not forgotten." Small acts of remembrance humanized the unknown man. Decades later, a grave marker reads, "The Unknown Man, Somerton Beach." Visitors leave coins, pens, folded scraps. The ritual turns silence into a communal confession of our discomfort with unresolved endings. Recent probes suggested possible identification through family DNA matches overseas, tantalizing leads that opened doors to private pasts, then slammed them shut when records failed to confirm a match. Each near solution deepened the ache. A tiny watchmaker's mark on his wristwatch implied a city of origin. A tailor's stitch hinted at bespoke clothing from a modest budget. Small things pointed to a man who cared about appearance, but not about being known. Imagine a mother scanning newspapers for years, wondering if the Somerton Man could be her missing son. That image, a woman in a dim kitchen with a cup gone cold, is the emotional core that keeps this mystery alive. The cipher remains unsolved. The Tamam Shud scrap links to a poem about endings. Whether it was a suicide note, a message to someone, or a planted clue is still debated. The phrase is both key and blindfold. What we have is partial truth. A man who arrived at the edge of life with secrets stitched into his clothing and a poem folded into his pocket. His story resists tidy endings and refuses the relief of certainty. We may never know who he was or why he died there. If you love unraveling real mysteries like this, subscribe. Each week I bring a new unsolved question to light.